Well, who's playing the bells?
That's my phone. I need to turn off the
Uh, People are going to be wondering what the heck's going on. This
Yeah. Oh, okay.
there.
Okay, we're actually a few minutes before the hour, um, approximately 7 minutes, and I'm not actually going to do an intro to the show or anything, but I'll explain that the reason that we're doing this is we're sitting around in the coffee break hour of New Year's Eve day, having a Smarties session where we're assembling, getting ready for a Smarties session. And we're having such a good conversation, talking about people and talking about things that I thought I would actually go ahead and share this with you so the people who might be here early and hanging out will come into some conversation that's actually engaged already. And then we'll go back and introduce people in a bit. But you can also text us if you're wondering who the heck is that person or this person or whatever, and we'll be glad to respond. Two chat streams going on today at the moment for this live broadcast. We are live. And the first one is, of course, in our website, initmobile.net. And if you go to initmobile.net, you can actually, so like the only reason this would pertain is if you're watching this video on YouTube or in some other obscure place that I'm not aware of. But I mean, if you're in YouTube and you want to go to the live conversation, we're going to be mostly promoting the live conversation in initmobile.net. That's INITMOBILE.net. And if you go to that page, you're welcome to watch the video that's on the page, but slide down to the second half just below the fold and click on the Count Me In It button, and it'll take you right to the page that we're having this broadcast today. So if you want to be in it, click the In It mobile button. And we're having fun, so I just thought, well, we might as well have this conversation live. So much of the time when we're in the green room and we're conversing and chatting about things, we are having a heck of a lot of fun. And all of you out there in broadcast land miss it because, of course, you're not in our green room. So I thought today I'd treat you to a few minutes of green room. So anyone have any precursor to something that they want to say before the show starts? It's kind of too late. But
I do. I want to tell you about my experiment that I'm conducting this morning. Okay, I'm always doing an experiment, you know.
Life is an experiment, so it makes sense.
So in line with something we were talking about, Vivek and I guess we're talking about last time, trying to figure out how to gain the text of the voice that's happening. And I read somewhere where if you just open Google Docs and put it on voice activation, that it will just create a text. So last week I tried to do that, and for some reason with my phone, and for some reason it didn't. It was looking. It couldn't find the internet for some reason. But I'm doing it again this morning, and I find there seems to be a time limit, and so it will go for a certain period of time, and then it stops, and then you have to press the button to pause and then start it up again.
Well, I have a question for you because that sounds like a heck of a lot of hassle. When you're talking about texting your I think that you're talking about the transcript of the video that we're producing right now.
Yes.
Well, YouTube will give you a.
Yes, I know that, Roland. But if it's a long session, it takes forever. So I'm looking at something that would record as we go, not necessarily to post, but to just keep track of the conversation. I'm just trying a variety of things. I know that YouTube will do that.
Because you don't want to wait an hour or two?
Yes, exactly.
Really?
I don't want to tie up my system for an hour or two. So
I'm not sure how that ties up my system for an hour or two. But I've never even been impeded by it whatsoever. I go back, I mean, because immediately after a show, I'm so busy interacting with people, I don't have time to even read that transcript.
yeah. Well, I have some ideas about what I want to use that transcript for, which
Well,
I will unveil sometime down the road.
sounds good. I'll be anxious to hear it. I mean, I would love it if I was like, dang, why didn't I think of that? And that would be an interesting transition.
Yeah.
But I'm Mr.
I see
Casual,
Eileen
so.
Smith is texting.
Pardon me, who's that?
Eileen Smith?
Eileen. Hi, Eileen. Is there room for me on the show? You know, now that you've asked, the answer is yes. So hang on 1 second. I'll send you the connection to actually come into the green room. I'll do it right now. So Eileen, if you take a look in your okay, hang on a second. I'm about to send you the wrong link, so let's not do that. Let's try this. And let me know that if you got that. You should have received it in your personal message comment stream. Easy enough. Well, the other thing I can do, of course, no duh, is add you to the list of the call. And then that way, if I just add you to the list, you've got the very same connection that all of us have. Well,
There's my friend Paul there. He has just dropped in and said hi, peeps.
Hi, Eileen.
Hello, Eileen.
Hello, everyone.
And now that we're a minute over the hour here, good morning, good day, good afternoon, everyone from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Now, we might be in the morning, but people are apparently checking in from all over the place. And we'll see who's in the green room for a bit, but I'm expecting there might be people watching the show from anywhere from another state in the United States to possibly on the other side of the world, because there's WeWake out there, and he might just drop in, even though he is not a good time for him to participate in our green room. He very well might be watching, so we'll hope that he's alive and kicking and either sleeping or watching the Smarties show. Good day, everybody, and welcome to our Saturday coffee break. I call it a coffee break because I don't have a big incentive to prove anything with this show. This is New Year's Eve day. We have a conglomeration of wonderful people that we really appreciate being here. Although the restrictions have dropped somewhat for the green room participation, I still hold a very, very high bar to that. And even though if you're watching the show, I'll admit in advance that there's no guarantee that if you ask me that I will say yes and invite you into the green room. There's a good chance if you're one of our regulars and you're out there and you say, hey, can I join in? If you even feel like you would like to ask me, chances are pretty good that I would say yes and welcome you in. And, you know, the bottom line is if we have talked and if we are in good terms, and I'm sure we are because I seem to be good on good terms with everybody, tell me if I'm wrong, please. And if that's the case, I'll welcome you in as long as we've got a spot. So at this point, I will be relying somewhat on Bill to remark about who's commenting, and I do see that Lon McClure is out there and Paul Murray, and welcome to the Smarties show. So let's take it from there, and we'll talk about the other people who I'm joined with this morning in the green room. And the first one that joined me was Bill Graham. Say hi, Bill, and tell us a little bit about yourself so the people know who you are.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Graham. I'm here today from Belize. We're getting ready to celebrate end of year, which is one of the cultural differences that I've gotten used to in Belize from Canada. In Canada, we tend to count down to the new year and kind of hope for a better year next year of peace and prosperity. Here in Belize, the people count down to the end of this year and show their thanks for having made it through the year and the bounties they received, as opposed to looking forward to bigger and better things. So that's basically what I do. I share the cultural differences of Belize with people that are thinking of moving from first world nations. I share what I call the unbelievable truth, and try and help people to make an informed decision on moving to a developing nation.
Bill, I really like what you just delivered, because there's a very important aspect to what you just said. And the concept of looking forward to the new year versus celebrating and being thankful for what we're accomplishing now is that there's a polarity issue. And the polarity is this: one is slightly positive and one is slightly negative. The one that's slightly positive might be extremely positive depending upon the individual. But here's why. When you're looking forward to the new year, you're thinking to yourself what you don't have and what you want, and your new goal, your new achievement, and by golly, I'm gonna get this out of 2017, and with any luck at all, dang it, God will bless me, and I'll have better luck. Well, to me, that whole line of conversation is kind of farcical. But anyway, to me, looking at your needs and looking at the things that you want as an outlook for the new year, to me, is just a little bit negative. I don't know whether you'll agree, but to me, that's negative, because you're thinking about the stuff you don't have and you feel needy, okay? Whereas when you
that was the exact takeaway I took away from it all, is that,
yeah,
you know, in Canada, and when I lived there and I was part of that culture, I have to admit I was the same. We tend to kind of remember the people in our families that have maybe passed, or the things that didn't work out so well for us. And I see a lot of posts the last week or so, people, you know, saying, gee, can't wait for this year to die. I'm staying up to watch the fireworks just because 2016 was the worst year ever in my life. And I'm sure if I went back a year, they're probably the same people who thought 2015 was the worst year of their life. So it's, yeah, to me, it's kind of a refreshing new attitude where people, instead of wanting the next new shiny thing, kind of are thankful for what they have, as opposed to what they don't have.
it's a polarity issue, and I've been talking about that, like with my what is the positive show. I think life is a polarity issue. Can you be on the side of the cup is half full versus the cup is half empty? And if you know, when you start to answer that question for yourself, you'll feel the polarity of where you are. But we could stay there, and everyone else will fail to get introduced today. So let me backtrack a bit and say that really the first person who joined me, I believe, was Lowell Ann, and so I'm going to introduce her next. She has her own show called Being Your Own CEO, The Success Circle, and she's a wonderful friend, and she's a wonderful contributor towards the Hangout environment, and she's doing a lot of stuff in tandem with what I'm accomplishing here. She's using my plugin, so I'm really happy about that. Lowell Ann, say hi and tell the world a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, and I'm saying hi from Victoria, British Columbia. That's on Canada's left coast. And this, when you're talking about, whether we look back and be grateful for the accomplishments, I think it is a really wonderful thing to do, to look back and remind ourselves of the things that worked really well, that we are proud of, that our business moved forward, whatever that might be. And looking forward, I like to think of going into the new year as a reframing, a refocus, and a reframing. So I guess I get bored with the same old, same old. So when the new year comes, here's a golden opportunity for me to reframe and decide on direction, etc. So, and we were also saying in the green room beforehand that Canada is this year, 2017, will be celebrating its 150th anniversary. And so there will be a big celebration down in our Inner Harbor here with a family party with fireworks, etc., etc., to kick off the birthday celebration. So I'm kind of really looking forward to that.
So it's your 1.5 centennial.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I like this. Basically, Lowell, what you have described to me is that life is not a dot on the calendar. New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day, that's not a dot on the calendar. We're going to pass the dot, but life is a vehicle moving. We are in process of motion and experience. And in that, what we want to do is like assess where we've been, assess how we're driving along, and maybe realign our wheels and maybe turn the steering wheel a little bit and adjust our course. But we keep on going. So I like what you just delivered. And thank you very much. Thanks for being here today. It means a lot to me that you would spend the last several Saturdays, as a matter of fact, but especially the Saturday, New Year's Eve day. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And before I lose the conch, I really am appreciating this project that you're working on, this plug-in, and it's been really fun. I mean, the whole experimentation thing is just been really fun. So I appreciate being part of the game.
You're very welcome, and you're very appreciated as well, because if a bunch of nobodies were using the plug-in and cheering about it, wouldn't make much difference, right? But you are well known in this community and well respected, and the fact that it's serving you well and that we have some hope that it will be something in your future, to me that is making a difference. So thank you very much. And now we would like to introduce Andrew Hatchett, who is simply one of my favorite people on the internet. He and his partner Michael Daniels formulated this community called User to User Live. And if you don't know what it is, just go there, check it out, and you join, sign up, fill out the form, agree to the terms, and join. It's a very positive experience, and you can do nothing but grow, and hopefully you will contribute to the growth of the general community. But this is Andrew's thing. I love the guy, and he's here with us, and he's been with us the last few times. I trust his opinion, and I value it greatly. So, Andrew Hatchett, say hi and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Good evening or afternoon or whatever it is, wherever you are. Basically, I'm co-founder of the User to User community, and Roland, thanks for the kind words. They are certainly appreciated. Basically, it's to help people with any part of Hangouts on Air, or any app that you would use when running those things. We also cover other parts of Google Plus. In 2017, we're probably going to be diving into actual live streaming, which of course I'm limited on because I use Chrome OS as my basic operating system, and you can't download drivers or anything, so there's no way to get encoders on a Chromebook. So we're basically limited to the Hangout environment. But we're going to be looking at that. And basically, you need help with something, come on over to the community and ask. We've got a brain trust over there that is not to be matched. We've got John Brown for videos and audios. We've got Terry Lee Britton for audios and anything else. He's got more videos up than I've got, you know, minutes in my life, I think. You know, as far as New Year's goes, I've never actually placed a great deal of emphasis on it. I'm not one that looks back at something, nor do I look forward to a lot of things. I just let things roll as they happen. If I make a mistake, I try to learn from it, but I'm not going to beat myself up over making it. You start doing too much introspection, you find out you wind up not liking yourself very much. And then you are in a hole you really have trouble digging out of. But basically, that's it. You'll find I'm very opinionated, I'm very outspoken. And while some people will say I'm wrong, I'm not ever wrong. I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong. So y'all enjoy me as I enjoy you. And I love these Saturday things. I try and,
Oh,
as
wow.
long as my sister doesn't have a to-do list, I'll be here.
Sounds good. Well, you're a welcome addition. I've been trying to lure you on for months, and he finally actually wants to be here. So to me, that's the greatest compliment.
I
I'm
love that,
literally-
Andrew. I always tell my wife the same thing. I'm never wrong. I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken.
Exactly.
Okay, that's one that I won't pass on to my wife. But that's just me. That's just me, And so before we get carried away here, we want to introduce our last guest, or maybe not our last guest, but our next guest for the Green Room for today. And her name is Eileen Smith. And you are probably one of my newer companions on the internet. And we've been interacting recently, and you've been visiting my shows. And I know that you are a blog specialist, and you could tell us a little bit more about yourself. Eileen Smith, say hi.
Well, hi, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I have been watching the show on and off for a long time, but a lot more recently, and mostly I'm watching the replays. So it's like I finally caught you guys when you're actually live. So I'm like, please let me in. So I really, really do appreciate that there was a spot for me.
Oh,
And yes, I have been focusing on blogging since like 2009, but lately I'm also very involved with live video and live streaming and, using YouTube as well. And so I've started up a little series about live streaming and different apps that we can use. So I definitely agree with everything you said about the user group and all the stuff that I'm learning over there. And I so much appreciate Andrew and everything that he and Michael have done with that group, which is sort of how this connection was made with this group. And really, Terry Lee Britton was the one who told me about this show a year and a half ago. So
thank you, Terry Lee. No, really, he was one of our best co-hosts on the show. He always contributed very, very important, valuable stuff. And I pretty much valued his opinion over most anybody I knew. The guy knew what he was talking about. He got in, dug in, and did the experiments himself. And he understood more than maybe anyone. I used to refer to him as an encyclopedia. So for him to refer you to this show, to me, is a great compliment. Thank you very much, Terry Lee Britton.
And really quickly, what I wanted to say about the whole New Year's thing, I kind of agree with what you guys have all been saying. It's a point of reflection to look back, celebrate anything that you've done that you wanted to accomplish in the year, but then also to look forward. And, of course, there's always people making predictions. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. I don't know that everybody ever reconciles any of those predictions to say, did you predict that right? Were you right? Were you wrong? But, it's really a good time to just make people kind of reflect inwardly and think about what it is, if they're on the right path, whatever it is they want to accomplish, whether it be in life or business or online or whatever.
I like what you're saying, Eileen. It was really nice having you here and to emphasize the things you said. And you pretty much encapsulated how I feel about this New Year's concept and that, because what I got out of what you said was that there's an ego involved in predictions, and whether people think, am I right, am I wrong, is this going to happen, did I say something that nobody else knew, you know, the ego is a funny thing. And I'm not, I'm not uh, what is the word I'm looking for, aside from this, I've got my ego, and I've got my, it affects the things that I do, as we all are. Human beings are ego focused people. Oh, notice that I said ego focused, not egocentric. Now, some of us are egocentric, and that's another thing, and that's another discussion for another day, maybe somebody else's show. But ego focused really has a lot to do with whether you're thinking from yourself and from your mind. The ego is you. And if you're thinking from that standpoint, you have no choice to deliver your opinion about anything. It's you. So yes, you are involved. But now how you interact with other people, what you bring forth to the discussion, and your attitude and your intention are massive factors involved in any conversation.
Absolutely.
So I like this concept that you have about, you don't put too much weight on the concepts of predictions and things. And when I named this entitling today, I did it half as much to kind of prod people a little bit. It's like predictions, exactly what you were saying about, people are egocentric about whether they're right or whether they say the right prediction, how important it is, and how profound that they can be. And to me, it just doesn't freaking matter. And encapsulated in this part of the conversation, I will add this the concept of New Year's resolutions. I hate New Year's resolutions, and here's why. We talked about the concept of that Bill brought up about the polarity of the issue. If you're being thankful for the year that's gone, that's a positive thing. I mean, that's positive. Being thankful, that's not positive. And then if you're looking forward to the new year with the expectancy of improvement, then you're measuring. You're really attached to the negative of the prior experience. And maybe not. Maybe you're looking forward and you're just exuberant about what's going on. I know I am. I feel pretty positive about 2017, but I'm not looking at 2017 as, gee, it's got to be better than 2016. To be honest with you, I had a great 2016. I had a great year.
Me too.
I had a wonderful experience. I met wonderful people. Things are progressing in my life, and I'm expanding. What more do I want for 1 year, for 12 months, for 365 days? And this next year, I'm going to be in motion, traveling, and not trying to kickstart my business, or not trying to kickstart my show, and not trying to kickstart my friendships. I've got a lot of good stuff working for me right here and now. And so I don't have a reason to look back and say, okay, let me take a breather, take a breath of fresh air here, and analyze my situation. And I've got to put X's on these things, and I've got to put some pluses on these things, and here's what I got to go, and that's what I plan on achieving. Now, when people make New Year's resolutions, what I've found so often is that they're making resolutions about something that they really don't want to do, but they think that they should. Am I right or wrong? What do you think?
Oh, can I go with that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you. I've had through my years, I've had a love-hate relationship with resolutions as well. Back in 1983, I know I'm dating myself, I stopped smoking cigarettes. So when I did that, it was pretty much downhill from there. Like, what else can I possibly do? So I kind of failed at a lot of my resolutions following that. So I learned just to not make such big, huge, life-changing resolutions. Now, I'll tell you the one that I made for 2016. I wanted to start meditating. It's a little bit of a change. It's a little bit of a picking up a new habit, a new thing, all about, improving myself. But I did it. I did it because it was not hard to do. It's 10 minutes out of my day that I sit back and reflect. I probably should be doing that anyway, but because I'm using an app, I call it a meditation. So I think that when people try to bite off more than they can chew, and they make these, hairy, audacious goals about what their resolutions are going to be. But really what you should do is you should always try to challenge yourself and be outside of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be something that you start on this specific day or do for so many, weeks or years or months or whatever. You should always be trying to challenge yourself to do something just to improve your quality of life, or maybe a relationship that you have with people that you work with or whatever. Yep.
I love it. The one word my takeaway from, I know you said a lot of valuable stuff, but the one word that marks the actual essence of what you're saying is that you strive for improvement. It's not a matter of achieving this goal, a landmark that you say, there, I did it. Because it wasn't like stopping smoking was, it's not a once thing. You want to stay off of it, and you want to stay off of it, and you want to stay healthy, because the ultimate goal of stopping smoking is to be healthier. And of course, not to smell like cigarettes. And, there are other things. But for the most part, it's a stepping stone onto the future that is resulting from your decision to stop smoking. So it's not just stopping smoking.
Well, Roland, when I was younger and trying to figure out how to quit smoking, we used to laugh and say, quitting smoking takes practice. How many times?
That's pretty accurate.
We have to do it before we finally made it.
That's right.
So we're going to show something that's being presented from the audience. And Bill says that Lon McClure's out there. He says, hi, all. Just had a thought for a future enhancement to the plugin. You have probably already thought of it, but I hadn't heard it mentioned. Some sort of generic add to calendar routine would be great. And yes, Lon, we're considering the calendar concept. We have people working on that right now, and we never know exactly where it's going to end up. But I figured I could try. It's actually on my plate, but it's not as prioritized at the other things that I'm doing, because I figure I got to focus on the one thing and get that done right, and not expand out before it's time. So what I want to do is get a really good platform for having our Hangouts in our websites. And that's my primary focus, having the best experience for the audience, not for how the best way I could have perform my show. Because a lot of people are going to say, well, wow, you wouldn't want the audience to participate if you were doing a show, because you want to tell the audience what to do, what to buy, where to go, and so forth. It's like, well, that's not me, so it doesn't pertain. What you're saying doesn't pertain to me, so I can let that go. I want the audience to have the best opportunity to have the best experience. And that means to give them a voice, a way to participate live and be a part of what's going on. And literally, if there was somebody in the audience, I mean, if Michael Thomas, oh, hi, Michael, or Paul Murray, or let's see, who else was there? Lon McClure or We Wake, if any of those people ask me right now, can I join you in the green room? The answer would be yes. Now, anyone else comes on, I can't guarantee the answer will be the same, and it's not an insult. It's not an insult, but it would be true that you may or may not get to be in the green room. So let's go to this share that Bill has for us again. Paul Murray says, the past is done. Tomorrow may never come. New Year's starts every morning when my eyes bang open. And amen to that, brother. Every single day is the new moment. It is the opportunity for you to do something right now. And that brings to mind so many people are talking about someday I will, or next week, or I know that I want to do this in the future, but not now. There is no time other than the right now. And I know that we could spend hours and hours in several Saturday morning marketing Smarties sessions talking about the here and now and being in the present. And I have a lot of deep thoughts with that. But when we're living in the future or living in the past, this is all the stuff that the psychologists will say, well, you're carrying a lot of baggage and you got to let go of that stuff. You got to get rid of it to move on and live your life. Living is right here and now. It's not the next moment later. It's now. So that's it. When you wake up, it's like your opportunity starts now. You don't have to say, gee, what's my schedule? In an hour, I have to be somewhere, so I have to shave. And, it's like whatever you're doing, that's the living that you're doing. And so I can't stress enough that I'm very much into this be here now concept. And Lana, I appreciate your comments. And Paul, I appreciate your comments too. And I'm right with you there. So who else wants to comment on that before I jump on another little side topic?
I just want to comment on one thing, and that is, having listened over the last several things, I have come to the conclusion that your plate is about 6 city blocks wide and long and about 8 stories high. Look at your fingers, just, it amazes me. I'm dumbfounded,
I'm not sure.
But most of my stuff is playing, it's not really what I would call productive. I mean, I'm pleasing me more than I'm pleasing other people. But you're really, you're doing so much, and with all different people. I love that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have a website that I'll be using your plugin, but I'm real interested in its development.
Well, I appreciate that. And to be on the outside looking in with a person who has the wide perspective that you do is important to us. And to get your feedback and to have you share, have you be a part of this show, that means everything to me. And it's going to mean a lot to the plugin as we start branching it out and sharing it with people, which, by the way, we'll probably have a good version of this in about a week or two. And it's going to have this very interesting thing that my programmer son, Kyle, is working on really intensely right now. And that is a database that automatically records every time that you use the internal mechanism to generate the shortcode, that logs in what the comment stream is going to be for the event. So that, to understand this, Google puts the comment stream generated from their servers. It's not on my website. It's being transferred to my website via the plugin, but it's on the Google servers. And in that, it has a permanent home, a permanent assignment that is always accessible. So what we are doing is we're programming an automatic database builder that records when you start another Hangout event through the plugin records the data and locates the URL for the comment stream so that we can always access it, and it becomes evergreen. And so that means that as long as you use the plugin in your website, the comment from the Google server becomes evergreen in your website. And, people will say, well, what if Google changes this? And, well, you know what? Google is as big as it gets. If they change, I'm dust. Okay? But in the meantime, I can't think of anyone else's shoulders that I would rather lean on. So I'll stick with that, and I'll rely on Google. And the thing that we've done the research on is if Google should change their platform and wipe out this comment stream, they're going to replace it with something that works, because too many millions of people already use something in conjunction with this particular comment stream. that they would be basically disjoining everything that millions of people are doing that they've been depending upon for years and causing some major havoc. So I don't think it's going anywhere. If it does, it'll be for the sake of improvement. Let's see what's going on here. Tai Takaoka, greatest year of life yet. Agreed, Tai. You've come milestones, and you've impacted my life, and I hadn't seen you for 2.5 decades, and got to see you just a couple of months ago. So it's been a great year for me in many respects, you being one of them. Thanks, Ty. That's my son, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's like, if you're looking at this and you see Tai Takaoka, well, there are the two of these guys on Earth. And yes, in actuality, there's an entire city with millions of people called Takaoka City in Japan. But when you're in the United States, Takaoka City is an unknown thing. I mean, it's like, how would you ever know it existed? It's not big enough like Tokyo to know that Tokyo exists. Everybody knows that Tokyo exists. But Takaoka City, and there's a Mount Takaoka too. And Takaoka City is in the areas where they're actually mining steel, or the elements that they make steel. And so because of this, they actually manufactured cars. And when the Toyota Corolla was the big thing about a decade ago, it was Takaoka City was known for pumping out Corolla cars, Toyota Corollas. So that's my big claim to fame with the name of Takaoka. So anyway, but thank you very much, Bill, for showing us that Ty was out there, and appreciate you being here, Ty. So thank you for showing up. So one of the things that came to me when we were talking earlier is this concept of the New Year's resolutions and what we intend with that, and how true to ourselves that we're going to be.
Before you get into that topic, can I just bring up one last comment on the previous topic? And that is from Paul Murray. I think he's making reference to you talking about Google being big, and if it disappeared, you'd be dust. And I like Paul's comment. He says, not dust, but rather dust yourself off and build to their improvement, as you said.
Agreed, Paul. Thank you very much. Pretty much nothing gets me down anymore. When they, it basically boils down to a fundamental that I believe really it comes from the words of Jesus Christ. And not to get religious, not to get Christian on everybody, but we have to follow what the great people say. And I'm not abject to Confucius and Buddha and et cetera, et cetera. Gandhi had some great things to deliver to us, but Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And he did not mean turn your face so you get slapped on the other side. I interpret what he meant by you turn the other cheek because you're turning your emotion and your consciousness and your thinking away towards something else. That's the whole idea. You're redirecting your attention because we are creating through our thoughts and our intention. That's where all of the magic of the universe starts, through our thoughts. And so something happens like, wow, that was a real slap in the face. I don't care how that slap came to you, but the sooner you get over it, we all know the psychologists are going to say, well, the sooner you get over it, the better off you are. You got to move on, let it go, let it go, let it go. So when you turn the other cheek, you are not clinging to it in the first place. It's like slap. There it is. Like, okay, we turn the other cheek. You're already letting it go because you were never clinging to it. Then there are other people who are, you get slapped. And when I say slap, I'm not talking about necessarily a hand slap or getting back fisted or something like that. I'm talking about anything that stings, anything that impedes you, brings your consciousness to a stop and makes you think, wow, I can't believe this happened to me. And for whatever reason, on some level, it hurts. As long as you're sitting there brooding about it, you are stagnant. You're choking off the flow, and you can't move on. Well, the opposite of this are these people who seem like they go through life. They don't care what anybody does. They're impervious to anything but what they're focusing on. The Wright brothers building an airplane, Einstein, et cetera, et cetera. The people, and these people are often thought of as being insensitive and inhumane and so forth because they're so focused on what they're doing, but they are constantly turning the other cheek. And the bottom line is they get a lot done. So what I want to find myself in is in the midst of this somewhere where I get a lot done, but I get things done that my heart responds positively to. So if I can keep those things together, I'm going to be a happy camper. And so far, 2016 has allowed me to do that. Anyone have any comments before I move on? I know I can get kind of...
Roland, I would say, I guess I would use a slightly different language, but it kind of points to how we deal with change. Massive changes are going to happen, whether they're online or within the political system or within the environment even. Massive changes happen. And so how we deal with change, as Paul said, get on and build an improvement on it. So, yeah, we all resist change in many ways, but the only way to deal with it is to embrace it and carry on. Yeah.
Change is inevitable. I've been saying since I was 15, everything changes and nothing, and I mean nothing, stays the same. So why would we gear ourselves to something that's like, this is good, this is steadfast, and I can rely on this, and like, by golly, I'm going to bank and bet my money on this, and that I can rely on forever. It's like, that can be a very dangerous philosophy. Whereas if you're thinking, the world is based on change, everything changes, nothing stays the same. So I'm going to base my life on the flow of life that brings change and lives change. When we consider this, it's like, I think of what Lynn Sanders is incorporating into her basic fundamental philosophy. And she pushes forward the song by Ti Amo, who is a guest that she's had on her show before. He's a singer and he's a speaker, and he wrote a song called Be the Change, okay? And you want to be the change that you want to see. In other words, if you want to be in a happy relationship, you can't hope for the right person to come into your life. You got to be the other half of that relationship before the other person can come in and make a happy whole, right? You want to be entirely happy, not just someone bringing happiness into your life, but you want to contribute happiness into the other person's life too. So you have to already be the happy person. And then someone happy can come along and you can develop a nice happy relationship. But if you're not happy, no person coming into your life is going to automatically bring you happiness. Can I hear an amen?
Amen. That reminds me of a story that I hear often in Belize, and that's the one of after the big storm where there was thousands and thousands of starfish washed up on the beach, and a little girl was going along the beach throwing starfish back in, and somebody came along and said, like, what difference are you making? As you throw them in, I really can't see the numbers disappearing or getting lower. And she picked up another starfish and threw it into the ocean and said, I just made a difference for that one.
There it is.
So we can't change everything. We can't cure all of the problems, but we can do one thing at a time. And sometimes one thing branches off and creates many things, I think.
Well, something that impresses me about myself here today, okay, is the fact that Andrew made a comment. He goes, he sees me as being involved in a lot of things. And if I were to analyze my life from certain perspectives, I'm sitting here doing very little, but it's like, What are your intentions, Roland? Who are you trying to influence? How are you trying to help people? And the one thing that I've been doing for, for a decade, probably more, is that whenever I run into people, I don't think to myself, and I'm not saying anything, but I don't think to myself, what can I get from that person, or how can I benefit from this person? I think to myself, how can I help them? What can I do to make their life better? Even if it's to say hello, even if it's to shake a hand and make them feel better, or whatever the case is, what is it that I can contribute that improves their life? And so that's the polarity that I start from. So when I had started the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties show, I had no choice but make it a free show. I don't want to monetize it. I don't want to stick an ad in it. I'm not going to promote my stuff. And hi, Barbara. This is my wife doing something
Hi,
in the
Barbara.
background. And that's her debut on Marketing Smarties. Okay. But anyway, we have to pick our polarity. We have to pick our intention. We have to choose who we are, and we have to choose how we're going to express. So that brings me to the final three things that I wanted to bring up today, and it's in the comment descriptions for the show today, and that there are three terms that strike me as being maybe perhaps, and you can argue, no doubt, and there are some other ones that we would add, but the concept for personal relationships and the concept for business and internet marketing, all of it, to me, it's all the same. It's honesty, integrity, and authenticity. Now, I follow up with this authenticity thing because honesty and integrity are somewhat measurable, and you can see the results, and you're going to have qualifiers that say, yep, the guy's honest. Well, how do you determine that? Well, it's because I believe the things that he's saying. Well, then he apparently says some things that are believable. And integrity is going to be like, well, is he like actually supporting things that he believes in? And is he consistent with that? And does he say really what he means? And that leads us to the concept of authenticity, which we'll have an extended discussion on in just a moment. But let's see what Bill's bringing us today. Michael Thomas, establishing continuity with self, grace, maintaining. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Establishing continuity with self, grace, maintaining. That is a principle that I believe we all have in common. And you know what, Michael, you're right about that. I don't have a really vast following of people, but the reason that I feel close to most of you, and the reason that I can say things like most of you I'd have in my green room today, is because of that very continuity. There's a polarity that's very common and consistent with everybody that's watching this show, and I'm really glad to be able to say that. But the thing is, if people are of an opposite polarity or a contrary polarity, I just assumed that they left. I don't care if they watch the show. I don't care if they share who we are or what we do. I really don't care. Do I feel negative about it? Like, go away, go away. I just flat out don't care. Watch or don't watch. And the people who are participating, I really appreciate. So I have a good thing going here because of you people and because of the attitudes and where we coalesce together to make something solid, to me, is definitively a positive thing. And I really appreciate this. Now, before we go any further, I get a message from Andrew saying that he has to take off. So, Andrew, it's really good having you today. You contribute a lot. Thank you very much. And whenever you have to jump off, no doubt we're going to get deeply involved in the conversation again. But did you have anything that you wanted to close with before having to take your leave?
No, not really. My sister's having computer problems in the other room, so I got to go cure them. I'll see you all later.
Sounds good. Got to go save it.
Happy New Year, Andy.
Happy New Year. So anyway, we're talking about the concepts of honesty, integrity, and authenticity. And I don't know that they are really inseparable. I think they're all part of the same thing. Anybody have any thoughts about these things?
Well, yes, I do want to say, when you talk about honesty and integrity, what we always hear is you have to get your audience to know, like, and trust you, right? And I know there's probably somebody saying, "Oh God, they said that again." And sometimes even the word authenticity or being authentic is kind of like, well, what does that really mean? And I think sometimes people do have a hard time grasping what those words really mean when you're not actually face to face or in the room with someone or dealing with them on an ongoing basis.
Or broadcasting?
Yes, and sometimes it's just words, but we have to have that wrapper around what it is we're really talking about, and it's a feeling. It is a community. It is where you, like you said, you don't think, what can that person do for me? You think, how can I help you?
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Bill and I have had months and months of this discussion about authenticity, and we've got some funny stories that I will refrain from sharing.
Well, Roland, it strikes me that before any one of us can be authentic, we really need to know who we are and what we stand for.
Agreed.
We have to be incredibly clear about that. And we, when I say clear, we need to be able to articulate it. And not everybody has been down that road yet.
Well, in that, when we haven't found ourselves, we're out there basically testing the waters, right? We're dipping our toes in the water, and we're saying, who do I want to be? What kind of an impression do I want to make? So inevitably, the outcome of that is, who am I going to impersonate for the day? Who do I want to pretend to be? So now, how is that possibly going to equate out to authenticity? Because here's where the authenticness comes out in that scenario. You are authentically partially fake. If not entirely fake, you're at least partially fake. Now, that is your authenticity. Because here's the thing. The concept of authenticity, as brought out in Teresa de Grosbois' discussion on TED Talks, is the things that you say and the things that you think are the same. They're the same. Whatever you think and whatever you say, they're true to each other. They're the same, and that's being authentic. Now, added to that, we've got attitude and are you smiling and are you trying to help people or not? But whether you're trying to help people or whether you're not, you're going to come across authentic if you get on the camera and be yourself, or you get in front of people, be yourself, and they're going to know. They're going to be your judges. They're going to come to a conclusion to have an opinion about you, and they're either going to know, like, and trust you or not. So you're right, Eileen, because know, like, and trust are so used and abused. I think I even wrote that in my description, that these words are used because they're catchphrases. I was like, yeah, you got to get people to know, like, and trust you. And here's how you do it. Well, you follow this formula and do these tricks and say this and do that, and then people will know, like, and trust you. Bullshit. I mean, I don't believe that for a second. People know, like, and trust you if they spent time getting to know you. Then they'll start to know you, and if you have been consistent with some integrity, they might start to like you because they can appreciate who you are and agree with the majority of the things you say. Maybe not all of them, but they're going to be pretty much in alignment with you. And if those two things happen, then they can make the next step of trusting someone. And then basically when you, that's a big word. You know, if you can say, I trust people. Well, I trust some people with my kids, and I trust other people not with my kids, you know. So there's a dividing line. There's a degree of everything. And trust is something that goes either deep or not. And so all those words are variable.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and I think I often find that if you're wondering if you're authentic or how you can be authentic, you're probably not, and you probably won't be. I mean, being authentic comes from being passionate about and believing what you're talking about. And sorry I interrupted you, Lolan, but just one other thing. A lady named Samantha Bacardi, I think I pronounced that right, has joined us over on the YouTube side. And I think she likes the discussion, and she's asked if she can join us because I think she has some thoughts on this.
Right on.
Okay, let's see.
So Roland, just before we leave the concept of authenticity, in my government days when we were looking at the concepts of leadership, it was all rolled into one neat little phrase: does he or she walk the talk?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much walk the walk, talk the talk.
Yeah.
And authenticity is something that you cannot avoid. And Samantha, please, let's see, email me or ping me on Google Plus. I will send you the access to the green room. And I would trust that you're probably a good person, even though I'm not sure I know who you are. But I'm willing to take the chance because we are really generating some positive vibes here, and I don't doubt for a second that you would be a good person to have with us. So, if you will ping me in Google Plus, I'll send you the invite directly.
Can you please tell Barbara? First of all, Barbara is my mom's name, and it's also my middle name. So, hey, Barbara. Darn, I wish I had a Soji screen like that I could pull out at any time.
It's
High
also
five
my
her.
wife's name.
That's the Barbara I'm talking about.
Oh,
That's the Barbara who I am referring to.
oh,
Yes.
okay. Hey, Roland.
You
I'm
didn't. You
catching up to
have
the
to
present.
turn around. You have to turn around, Roland, and see that she put that screen up, and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was pretty much oblivious here. So Samantha Bacardi, I'm going to look you up in Google Plus.
Yeah, so I
Well,
just
you-
wanted to say one more thing, though, about this authenticity and so forth. And I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here because you guys have all been doing live video for years. But this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of focusing on this live video, because now everybody's into the game. And I knew when it came to Facebook that everybody, as they say, everybody and their mama and grandmama is doing live video. And one of the reasons why I like it so much is because, you know, people can see right through you. And then on the other hand, people can see right through you. So, you know, it does help. It speeds up the process. And like we were talking about me being a blogger since 2009, you know, you can write, and then I would get guests requests all the time, and people were writing. You're kind of like, well, I don't even know if this person wrote this thing, because when it comes to responding to comments, their English isn't even that good, you know. And it's like, but when you see somebody on live video, you kind of know, okay, like you said, Lolan, do they walk the talk?
I in one of my in the minute videos, I basically, you know, leaned forward in the middle of the video, and I pointed to myself. I said, "It's kind of hard to fake this. You know, whatever you are now. I'm not saying I am anything, but whatever I am, it's hard to fake on video."
Right.
So, if people want to be authentic in the year 2017 and beyond, one of the things that they're probably going to have to consider is being in live video. And these Hangouts are one of the easiest ways to do it. Now, people who have been struggling for years to try to figure it out, I sympathize and empathize, and I agree. But it's still the cheapest way to do it, one of the best platforms, and we're making them better as we speak. So as far as I'm concerned, these Hangouts on air are a really great option if you want to do some live streaming and if you want to get into that. So the concept of 2017, if I were to make a prediction, I would say that the wave is going to start to lean into live streaming and production of shows online and video. And because it's free, because it's connected with YouTube now, because it's accessible so easily, I believe that YouTube Live Hangouts on Air are going to become popular in 2017. Now, when I say that, it's like everything else. You make a prediction like the wave, the gigantic wave of live streaming is going to come to you, to your front door via YouTube Live Hangouts on Air. It's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because with all the people talking about it, and like right now, maybe 2% of the people live streaming might know what Hangouts on Air through YouTube Live is even existent. You know, only that small a percentage even know about it. But as the year progresses, more like 5% or maybe more like 10% will start to know. And they're going to go, what have I been doing? I got to check out this platform. And they're going to start stumbling onto the things like us veterans who have been around for a couple of years doing this and hung on to it through the transition and are still using it and showing people how to use it effectively in 2017. So who are they going to turn to? Who are they going to turn to? The people who left and didn't come back? No, they can't be turned to. But we are basically trailblazers right now in a concept that I think will be bigger and bigger. But the wave isn't going to hit into 2018 or 2019 because that's how the ocean rolls. It's going to start to build. It's going to start to build. And at the end of 2017, we're still going to be on the building process. So the wave is on its way. We are on the edge of the cutting wave, but it just hasn't built up yet. So when we make a prediction, I wouldn't say, oh, yeah, live streaming is going to be the big thing. Now it's just a catchphrase, and I'm using and abusing some words that really have very little meaning. But what I do think is meaning is that people are hearing a lot about live streaming, and they'll start leaning that direction. And we are going to be one of the things that people search and research and find out about and pick as a viable option for their own businesses. The other thing is that people are going to realize that there is no fear in doing this, and when they get over the fear, it was part of their imagination. This is easier than they think it is. It's just that they've never done it. So until you've done a cliff dive, it's ominous, and you think, I would never leap off of a cliff. Or skydiving. Who would jump out of a perfectly good plane? You know, I mean, like, people have thoughts like this. You know, like, well, I'm not going to go do any skydiving. But people will, and if they want to, they can. But it's the option, and so we're basically showing people it ain't cliff diving, and it is not skydiving. It's a very simple thing, and it's the thing of the future. And you're going to hear more and more about it, so you might as well start doing the research. And when you do, you're going to find out that the words I'm speaking now have some value. And that's basically where we are.
So, Roland, we must not forget one important piece. It's fun.
It is.
Well,
I'm having a blast today.
And you know what? I can tell you from experience, because I do have 32 jumps from an airplane that I actually did the year I lived in Victoria. And I can tell you that live video is as scary the first couple of times. The same as jumping out of a fully serviceable airplane is scary. But after you've done it a couple of times, and I got to tell you, it took at least 3 jumps before I knew my head was up, my feet were down, or I was on my back, or I was on my belly, because it was just so overwhelming. But by the 4th or 5th jumps, I was starting to learn to do maneuvers. I was starting to be able to jump with other people. And so I think it's very comparable, actually.
Well,
I'm getting a little woozy.
Yeah.
I just want
that's so funny.
But it comes down to our
None of us are
perception.
really afraid of heights.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to our perception. And I remember in jump class them saying it takes 800 feet for your chute to open. And I remember my first jump, they opened the door and I looked out and thought, we're only 500 feet off the ground. We were actually 2,500 feet off the ground. So sometimes it's our false perceptions that give us the false fears, right?
Right. So, in the YouTube chat, Samantha Bacardi, you've been going nuts posting in there, and I sincerely wish that you had been doing this in our website today, and contributing towards the concept there. But perhaps if you're willing, you might contact me sometime and just say hi. I'd like to meet you and like to chat with you in Google Plus, and perhaps next time that we have an open green room, we can have you on the show and actually invite you in to join the internal conversation, so we don't have to read your texts. And your texts are welcome either way, because we all text in the side. But you were very prolific there in participating, and I'm really happy that you were here. So thank you. Now, the reason that we don't pay that much attention to the YouTube chat is that as soon as this event is over, within some limited amount of time, it might be minutes or it might be an hour, the chat disappears. It is no longer there. So everything that you wrote, we cannot archive. And that was the biggest thing that I had against it. And I'm reasonably sure that YouTube will be working at fixing that and making an option that where they can archive the conversation from a live event, because there's no conversation like the one that happened live. And that's why we designed this plugin. That's why we direct everybody to our website. And that's why every show that I have is going to be at the very same website as the one that we're showing that to. So you can also click the link in the top of the description area for the event, where it talks about, well, it's just the entire description below the event. Below the share buttons and below the more buttons is all this information. The very top 2 lines are join the live streaming event conversation here. If you click that link, it takes you right to the website page with the live event happening. So, and we invite everyone to watch for that. That link is always in the top of my post in YouTube. And I would invite everyone to initmobile.net to join the live conversation. That's been our focus for this past 6 months, and we're finally doing it. So
I wanted to bring up a couple of comments, if you don't mind. I know we're
Sure.
getting pretty close to the end here, but there was 3 or 4 here. Michael Thomas mentioned as part of the conversation, honesty, integrity, and authenticity equal practical continuity. In my world, Roland Takoka. I couldn't agree more with you. Lon McClure thinks that, or says, how can we help you? Or what can we accomplish together are probably the best approach when using social media and live streaming. And I agree 100% with
That one is a good one.
yeah, I'm glad we're getting those recorded in the video.
And then, of course, Michael Thomas wants us to include quality as well. And I would go back to our old standard that quality is something that we should strive for. But I think people want to just get going, get started. Don't worry about being a polished act, about having if you're passionate about your message, your message will be polished because you'll know what to say in any given situation. And so I would encourage people, yes, strive for quality, but get started. I mean, we all remember the end of 2016. Everybody was saying how the end of 2015, everybody was saying how video was going to take over everything in 2017. And I think by February, Blab was gone. And by the middle of the year, Hangouts were gone over to YouTube live streaming, and the comment tracker was gone, and everything kind of changed. So, I mean, I think for the people who have something to say and have a message, get started now. You're on the cutting edge still a year later.
Right.
So I would, I'll tell a little story. And the story is very personal because what it is me lightly trouncing the toes of Anthony Robbins. Okay, you ready for this?
Here goes one of Roland's rants.
Yeah, not really, but I mean, it's not something I'm necessarily proud of, but kind of. The fact that I was, we're talking a decade ago, right? Maybe it was 15 years ago. Anthony Robbins has been around a long time, and he's contributed a huge lot of positivity to people, encouraging them to take the step. He encourages people to take the step that we're talking about. And one of the things that he focuses on is the concept of improvement. And he calls it constant and never-ending improvement. Now, he might have changed this from the days that I caught this phrase from him. But the concept was, he called this concept CANI. C-A-N-I. The letters, the acronym stands for constant and never-ending improvement. And I thought to myself, that strikes me weird. That's odd. You know, I listen to Tony Robbins, and a lot of things that he says, I back him up, and I agree with him, and I would promote him, and I would share him. But he goes, constant and never-ending improvement. Can I? Well, it occurred to me that he's off base on that. He's got it wrong. And so how does he get it wrong? The acronym should be ICAN. I can. Improvement. Constant and never ending. That should be the statement, because that's a statement. Can I is a question. And I could never figure out why he is asking. Can I is a question of, as far as that's doubting oneself, right? Can I? Whereas I can is a declaration of positivity. So that's my stepping on Anthony Robbins' toes for the year 2016. And, but of course, Anthony Robbins, if he were to hear that, he would just laugh. And he knows that I'm not attacking him, because I love the guy. He's contributed greatly to the world. And I wish other people would. Wow, baby. Sorry. Sound effects from the other room. So anyway, we are wrapping up this show. Lolan, did you have any closing words? We've kind of all got our stuff in.
No, I just want to close by wishing everyone a wonderful 2017. Onward and upward, and keep on experimenting.
Improvement, constant and never ending. Yeah, I thank you very much. And of course, it means a lot that you were able to join us today. And Eileen, thank you very much for joining us. And Bill, of course, thanks for being my comrade in arms and helping me with the show here. I really appreciate you greatly. And above and beyond anything else, the people in the audience who have been showing up week after week, whenever you can, I appreciate you so much. And thank you for your participation. So Michael Thomas and Lon McClure and Paul was there, and Barbara Quick showed up. Hi, Barbara. And, I really appreciate you folks. And the fact that you still show up, regardless of making any sense or not, each Saturday, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And as Lowell Ann said, have a great 2017. I hope your 2016 was worth remembering. I hope the whole thing you're taking positivity from before, during, and after. And it's all about the here and now. So thank you very much. Saying goodbye from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties.